Okay, so we are playing a new mage character. The only things I have done so far are to complete the Newbie Academy. So I'm at level 5. I just made this guy. I don't have a lot of experience playing mage characters. When I played back in 99 and 2000, I was primarily a melee guy. I did actually start with a mage. That was my first character, but he was designed so poorly that he could never really make it past level 30. So the first thing I'm going to do is head to the mage shop here and pick up a few scrolls. You only begin with a few spells, a couple offensive ones, healing, invulnerability. So this character, I specialized in mana conversion and trained creature and life, as well as war. War costs a lot of credits, so if you're going to be a war mage, it probably should be specialized, but I'm going to get item enchantment later. I primarily need that for recall spells. We're going to get a couple of important spells here. Armor. We have heal already. What we can also do is get these vulnerability spells. Since I currently have Force Bolt and Flame Bolt, I'll get Flame Vulnerability and Piercing Vulnerability. Mana Renewal is okay. And Rejuvenate is good. And we'll get Stamina to Mana. Can't afford much else. Item War. Don't need it. Check the creature. So the Newbie Wand from the Academy. The benefits of that are willpower and focus self, as well as mana conversion mastery. So this alone will boost those. We don't need to cast the level 1 buffs at this time. It might not hurt to get endurance though. Just to help boost our low health a little bit. That's good for me. I like to set up one of these tabs for my buffs. And my first tab is usually my primary tab that has things like Stamina to Mana, Rejuvenate, fundamental spells. And we'll put the vulnerability right here with our attack spells. Right? So let's go give this a shot. Don't have any place in mind. So as I've mentioned before, all skills in this game can be raised a couple of different ways, either through activity. You know, casting creature spells will raise your creature magic. You can see, well, maybe you can't. So it would behoove me to get the components I need for these spells, and then we could be on our way to do whatever it is we're going to do. Let me know if there's an echo or anything of that nature. This is a pretty rough setup. Even though I've played the melee character to level 13 or so, it's still been almost 20 years since I've effectively played this game. So don't expect me to go to any of major hotspots or anything of that nature at this time. I can't remember where they are. Cedar Talisman. So later on in the game, they remove the need to use these components. But we are playing an old school shard. A shard that replicates the era of Dark Majesty, which would have been the first expansion. Though this does include the foci. If you get the foci, you don't need components. It just takes up a backpack slot per type of magic. So creature, item, etc. Just want to make sure we can cast these spells that we just picked up, especially the vulnerability spells. Okay, well, I ran out of money, so we can cast what we can. So same here with life magic. Well, there's some kind of timer, maybe 10, 15 minutes, something along those lines. So say that you cast creature magic, and you cast a level 1, then a level 2, and a level 3. As long as you cast them in that order, you'll gain experience in those skills sequentially. If you start with a level 3, and then cast a level 2, and then a 1, the 2 and 1 will give you no experience whatsoever. So anytime you've been on a combat for a significant amount of time, you want to cast, if you can, a quick level 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be, up to your current capacity. Especially early on, this will help boost your magery without having to actually pump XP directly into these skills. And I could be wrong, but I think that this accelerates your gains later on, allows you to achieve a higher level. So I'm out here in Red Spire, or Green Spire. Yeah, Red Spire. Probably should be a bit higher level, but we're going to try to snipe a couple of enemies and see how that works out for us. So level 4, that should be totally doable. We're going to see if we can't cast vulnerability on him. He resists it. Right, he resists it. There we go, we got him. Now we're going to try to hit him with the fireball. And each of these characters have a different kind of resistance. Some are weaker to piercing, some are weaker to slashing, some to fire. But the piercing seems to do a lot better natively with these guys. The XP is terrible. I know this game gets a lot of flack for being a bit dated visually, but honestly I think it looks great. Even 20 years later, the lighting effects are pretty excellent. Maybe the textures and models are a bit dated. can't go into one of these dungeons. A lot of creatures in this game will drop a craftable item of sorts. Things like Tusker horns or Manaker horns. And when I say craftable, a lot of times I mean you can make some kind of special item out of it. Golems drop motes, which can make Atlan weapons. I chose this Dark Majesty Shard Seedsow for 2 reasons. One of those, that this is the era that I am familiar with and that I love. And second, they made a lot of changes later on. They took some skills away and modified the game world. I'm not sure why. I think they were trying to appeal to a wider audience. If you look at these interviews with some of the developers, it does seem like they really wanted it to be something else. But a lot of what set Asherons call apart are these different. Yeah. Back to whole bird. Raise a little endurance. So as I was saying, skills. You can raise them directly by using them. You can pump experience directly into them, which I try to avoid until much later in the game. Or each skill has some formula with the stats to raise it. So most magics, I think all of them, are focus plus self divided by 4. So at times it may be cheaper to raise focus or self a combination of 4 times as opposed to raising the skill directly. Projectiles in this game can be dodged. I mean that in the sense that you can do it, not necessarily that you will be dodging them all the time. I'm looking for a dungeon, but it's been so many years. Rat nap. That'll do. So I'm not playing my melee character because I started it with my daughter and I really don't want to feel like I got too far ahead of her. With any kind of projectile-based character, whether that be a mage, throwing weapons, or archery, you can often find these nice ledges and things in which you can defeat creatures that are much harder than you would normally be able to take. Now these rats aren't them, but just for sake of example. Drain magic also works really well. I need to get some drain spells, since I do have life magic. And as I said before, I don't have item enchantments, so it's going to be a while before I can use portal recalls and things of that nature. Oh shit. The most important stuff. That's an Rats often will drop rat tails. Often, if it's not an item that can be crafted into something, it is an item that can provide you some kind of benefit. In this case, an NPC collector will give you experience directly for it. I'm pretty sure when I open this door, it's over for me. I have no mana. I have no way to regenerate my mana. It's a little bit short-sighted here. I need some sap. See if I can find the exit. Buy a couple saffron before I get killed. Probably not. Death is not such a big deal in the beginning. You get the vitae penalty, which is, if you have a vitae penalty, you receive 5% worth every time you're killed. You have to work it off by acquiring experience points. So for example now, I have a 5% vitae penalty. So all skills and stats are reduced by 5%. I guess skills and not stats. It can be pretty punishing when you get to 30, I think, which is the maximum penalty to have. So you end up dead in a dungeon, dying over and over trying to get your corpse, because as you proceed in the levels, you begin to lose more items upon death. And the first death may not be such a big deal because you can carry around high value items. Say here, if the value is, you might carry around something that's worth 10,000 pyreals, just so that it's dropped instead of your good equipment when you die. But it's not always an effective strategy if you end up in a situation where you have to retrieve those corpses. And you can't. But yeah, without stamina to mana, I'm not going to be able to proceed past 1 or 2 mobs at all. So I really need to just go back and get that. Because I started as this race, I get a benefit to staff as well. So I could always pull that out and try to melee, but it's going to be far less effective than my major. Be great to get mugwort, saffron. And that's it. That should be good. How to afford it's another question. Training. The components can be a bit overwhelming in this game, especially to a beginner. I do not recommend new players begin as a mage unless they want a big headache. But once you figure it out, it's pretty straightforward. Let's see if you take... I don't think I have any way to get enough pyreals to even purchase what I need. Maybe if I can sell this. Alright. So what was it? Saffron. Saffron. Couple of them. Oops. Looks similar. The the greater chance you have of casting a spell, the less likely you are to burn components. So if you try to cast higher level spells, you're more likely to fizzle and burn components. You can still burn components anytime, but the higher your relative skill to what you're trying to cast, the more likely you're going to be able to do it. What? Cinnabon. It's kind of hard to see the gray in this. Okay, I've traded my only armor. So 157. No, right. I think if you tip 1,000 cows, you end up getting an extra title. Titles are interchangeable at any time. You start with Adventurer, but later on, once you've acquired some, you can go a little further. Just gonna head out here and see what I can find toward the water. To level 5. I'd like to find some things that are a little bit harder. Need to remember I need to be picking up loot or whatever it is they have. I have no pyreals. Not using buff bots. This server does allow macroing and buff bots. I wanted a server that didn't allow it, but the reason I chose it is because, once again, the era. Honestly, you don't run into them anyway. If you don't want to use them, don't. So magic items, especially jewelry, have a low burden and a high value, typically. I mean, not magic items, but magic jewelry and things of that nature. But in general, if it's magic, it's worth more. So this has Acid Bane. And if you have at least Arcane Lore of 13, you can activate it. So if I put this on... So when you have this skill trained, it's pretty important to have. So I can't even use this because that's not trained. But I still need to get item magic. I guess item magic and Arcane Lore are the main things. But I'm going to hold off because I really want to get that item to be able to recall around. But I can still sell these. Hoping I don't really need the armor right now. Killed my mouse. The idea is to kill them before they get to me. So early level spells last maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Once you get to level 3, I think, they last about 30 minutes. So it's a lot more tolerable to buff yourself up. A lot of people complain about the length of buffs in this game, but if you're cycling Revitalize and Stamina to Mana with good mana conversion, you never really have to rest under. Not something we'll be worried about for a little while. Not worth it until you get to at least level, really honestly 3, but 2 can make a difference. So for now I'm picking up some of this junk because, like I say, I have no pyreals. Perfect. But I'm going to want to get arcane lore because it's pretty important. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Why don't these... But the wand does. Anyway, this wand is pretty beneficial early on. Ring, it does the same thing, so I can just sell this. Another thing you can do is once you get mana stones, you can break these magic items down to refill the mana tank on your items that you are using. Okay, I guess I was wrong about lore. You don't have to have it trained, it just has to be at a sufficient level. So for example, that gives me this weapon tinkering expertise, which I do not need. So I'll be selling those items. 3106. Watch out for armadillos. Even if you think they're in your level range, they can do pretty good damage. So as you can see, I'm not losing anything. Later on, you begin to lose items, as I said. Level 10 maybe? Otherwise, you lose half of the pyreals you have on you. Which right now is nothing, so not a big deal. Didn't even have any of my buffs. Would help quite a bit. So, as being that I'm a mage, the primary use of my stamina bar is to refill my mana bar. So rejuvenation is still helpful to me because I can convert all that delicious yellow to mana. Probably wouldn't hurt to have some armor. In this game, you can buff individual pieces of equipment. Say you were wearing a full set of plate mail here, it has a downfall. Each of those pieces are stronger, but you'd have to buff each piece individually. That's why a lot of mages will wear robes, because you can cover the majority, a hooded robe even, you can cover the majority of your body with that item and just cast impenetrability or flame bane or whatever it may be on that one piece of item. Those can be turned in for experience points. Early creatures have them. I think that was worth 500. Not much in the long run, but another thing you can do is kind of hold on to those. And if you have a bad vitae penalty early on, you can turn that in and eat it all away. But at the same time, early on vitae is not that relevant. In theory, you can kill creatures that are much higher level than you because of the distance, similar to archery. So here's a pair of pants, it's magic. This will cast armor on me for what seems to be about 90 minutes. So we're going to put that on. Take off these regular pants, drop them. Boom. So now I no longer have to cast armor self while that's in place. I'm going to work my way back to that dungeon. I think I'm going to turn in this red letter first, though. They also drop gold letters at times, worth a little bit more, maybe double than the red letter. Really, it'd be great to go get the drain health spell. I can't remember what it's called. So these collectors, the one I tried to give the feathers to, they're the ones that take these letters, wasp wings, rat tails, that kind of. Let's see what he gets. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that component. I may as well grab the harm spell too. So 500 experience and 500 pyreal. I'm gonna push my quickness up a little bit. It's not a really important thing to have early on, but it helps raise your run. Run is a skill that you cannot get by actively using, so it has to be pumped with experience directly. As I said earlier, I do not like to raise skills directly with experience until much later on. I can't confirm this, but I do believe that it raises quicker. Like when you pump experience into it, that cost goes up, so the chance of you raising with casting spells is much lower. So early on, I will just cycle through my low-level spells while raising my stats directly. And in this game, approximately every 50 skill points is the next level. So I can cast level 1 in these. At around 90 or 100, I can start casting level 2 with efficiency. I can't remember the name of the spell. We're going to get revitalized though. Harm, I think that's it. Could be drain health. I can't remember. It's the one that has the unusual casting animation. We'll find out in a moment. So as your mana conversion goes up, you can do stamina to mana, and then just cast Revitalize, refill your stamina, and then once again stamina to mana, and you will have net gain in mana. Components we need for this, we should be good for a while. Gypsum. Sometimes you don't realize what you need until you're in the field, and sometimes you forget. There, good. Good. Need and lock. Test this out. Regeneration. Perfect example. Cost me 3 mana to fill my stamina back up, and I could probably pull 15 or 20 mana out of that. So back to buffing. So you could cast Creature Enchantment Mastery, as well as Focus and Self, buff your creature close to 90, then cast Creature Enchantment 2, then be able to effectively cast level 2 spells. So buffing is very important in this game. It's a fundamental mechanic, which is why people often use these buff bots. If you start a brand new character, go to the buff bot, get level 6 or 7 buffs. You can pretty much hit level 20 or 30 in just a few minutes by going to a dungeon that you shouldn't have any business being in. I don't like to play that way. Asheron's Call also has a really great allegiance system. So if you swear allegiance to a character, portions of your XP will go to them over time. And this creates a whole chain. So anybody under you will contribute experience directly to you, and then on up to your patron or monarch, potentially. So coordination doesn't really do anything for me, but I'll wear it. I'm going to take off this girth and put on this. A little bit more defense overall. The loot mechanics in this game are really great. You never know what you're going to get. You can build up your character with all of these small things, the bracelets, the necklace, the rings, magic clothing. So I'll show you this harm spell now, and why it's so excellent. Whichever one it is. Out of range. It has much less range than some of the other spells. I'll pop them and hide behind the corner here. I don't need it for this room, but maybe for that armadillo. Harmed him through the wall. Dead. So that's how that's done. I want to see weaker to fire. A lot of these weaknesses can be understood through intuition. Trapage. Be able to whip. Where's that armadillo? See him. Maybe further in? Yeah. So corpses do decay. So make sure you get your things. Of course, I'm low level. I have nothing at the moment. Just trying to watch out for everything. So that would be good if I didn't have my wand already. There he is. Oh. Another thing, if you don't have to, try not to turn your back on enemies. They will get critical hits. I think Drain Health does a percentage based, like Final Fantasy and Gravity, but Harm will do damage regardless of their health status. I also think it restores your health when you do the drain as opposed to harm. Someone else was down here. Ended up the same way I did. Get behind this corner. Their AI is fairly simplistic. They're not going to open doors or come around the corner for you. But in 1899, think Ultima Online before they changed the AI. watch out for the armadillos. It would help to have a little bit of armor of any kind. Some healing kits later on have a lot of value, worth picking up to sell. They could be worth thousands. Or good death items, depending on where you're at in the game. So as a mage, I started with high focus, 100 focus, 100 self. The higher your starting stats, the higher you're going to be able to get them in the long run. So you want to focus on your... Most early enemies are pretty weak to fire. Obviously not the armadillo. Focus, once again, that would be good if this was not giving me willpower and focus and mana conversion master. They can be sold or broken down. So I've got 3,000 experience to distribute. Endurance, every 2 endurance points is worth 1 health. Each endurance point is worth 1 stamina. And you can also directly raise health or stamina. So if it costs 1,000 per health point, but 500 per endurance, it's an equivalent choice. But you'll also get the stamina out of pumping endurance, so it's something you have to think about. For level 4, right? It's not bad, but I'll stick with my armor, more generic protection. Right. So I'm dead. All of these spells have expired from me. Item enchantments on your weapons, when you die, they are still in effect. It's just anything on yourself is not. So piercing protection, there we go. You get rid of this shirt. Now I have piercing protection as well as armor, regardless, as long as those items have mana. Oops. Don't have to cast it out right now, because I have it from that article of clothing. Kind of having a rough start here. Wouldn't hurt to begin getting some more hit points. Things like that. Stamina is good because it directly equates to mana in the end. For the reasons I mentioned. Experience is just so low. You can group in this game, and some later quests are much better with groups, but most of the content in this game is soloable. Aside from even some that you might just need 2 for opening doors or lockpicking, or dungeons that get a little more complex. But that's something I've always favored about this game, is you can play it yourself. You don't need a group. They don't force group content. Stick with my armor. Stamina, might as well rejuvenate it to mana. It recovers quicker. I have to say the emulation seems pretty good here. I have noticed a few bugs with jumping and physics, but overall it seems pretty excellent and accurate. Grabbing these, they're cheap. Primary function for strength for a mage is going to be the carrying capacity. I don't think I dropped anything, but we'll check. Once an empty corpse has been opened, whether that be a player or an enemy, it's going to disappear. Otherwise, I think the math is 5 minutes times your level. However, in this emulated shard, I'm not sure if it's the emulation or what, but if the block isn't loaded, it doesn't decay. So you can come back much later. So I've got my gloves. Put those on. It casts Impenetrability 1, which you can see it boosts the armor level of that item. I'm not sure how it stacks up to recent MMOs, but Asheron's Call is definitely one of the largest, especially at the time. The landmass is massive. Shouldn't be fizzing level 1 like this. So Make sure if you see an armadillo way out in the wild, yeah, he may be close to your level, but keep an eye on that guy. These guys drop tails or something, I think. I'm not sure. Oh, shit. Yep, burned up my components for that. Lovely. Start raising focus and stealth. Try to raise these magic skills up a little bit. Avoid some of that fizzling and component loss. Can lie down to regain stamina quicker. You can crouch, sit, or lie down. Each one is subsequently more regeneration. And then, yeah, sometimes in the middle of a fight, you have to just kind of sit down there in front of your enemy. Just depends on what you're fighting and if you can get away with it. About to hit level 6. Seems like there's a pretty decent sized hump here in these mid levels. Once you get to 9 or 10, it starts to accelerate a bit, get a little bit more powerful. As you level up, you do get skill points. So I gained 1 skill credit. You can see now that I have a total of 7 credits available. Item costs 8. You get them at first, I think, 1 every level or so, then every other level, then every so many levels. Eventually, they stop showing up. So you have to kind of plan your character with some foresight. I haven't necessarily done, so where am I? I think that's better than having impenetrability. Okay, so now my war magic is boosted 10 points. These little gems you can pick up, they're just consumables. So here I could sell it for decent pyreals, or I could just eat it. But maybe not. Using with something else, but there are consumable magic items that give you temporary boosts. Acid weapon. So items can be enchanted. Pretty useful. If you had a fire weapon down here, it would be pretty effective. So as I said, enemies won't open doors. They'll come after you, but they're not going to open this door. It is what it is. These These guys do bludgeoning damage, and they're pretty strong. Golems in general. He's level 12. So he would definitely stomp me in one hit, but I'm going to try to just drain him through the wall. So as I was saying before, golems, they drop these motes sometimes, if you're lucky, which I'm not. I think it takes 32, but then you can make an Atlan weapon. It's one of the quest items that they had made early on. The cool thing about Atlans is you can... Stuck. The cool thing about Atlan weapons is you can go get major or minor stones, fire, acid, etc., and put them into that Atlan weapon at your leisure. So it's an omni weapon of sorts. It's not an in-game item, but it's good for its to. And I'll put this under some of them, especially in Atlan. Not sure why he's stuck there, but I'm happy about it. Clearly I can not really want to see him. Oh, he's level 18. Okay. Dude would probably one-hit me. No wonder he's resisting the spells after all. Come on. Don't really have any business messing with it, but he's stuck. Might as well get the experience. Yeah, 500 XP or so, 400. Good for this era. So, Mana Stone. It's what I was speaking of earlier. So, what we can do is take one of these items, use the Mana Stone to destroy that item. Then it stores 20 mana. So I could go up here and distribute that mana to this item right here. So that's something effective you can do with junk items. And the better the mana stone, the more mana it's going to pick up from that item that is destroyed. So you can keep most of your items powered up just through that mechanic. Oh, come on. Get away from me. Much better. One more hit. Should have healed, but I thought I could pull it off. Obviously not. You can see I've lost 126 pyreals, so it must be level 6 that you begin to lose pyreals. So there's a couple quality of life additions on this server that would not have been in place. In this case, the marketplace is one of them, but it doesn't actually take you to what would have been considered the marketplace. It takes you to the old subway. Here are some of the bots I mentioned. They'll buff you up or whatever it is. This one I don't feel so bad about, Portal Bot. He'll take you to Bashi or wherever. But I came here to see if I could take out some of these undead. They're high level, but they're weak to fire. So I may be able to get one. Just get some high experience. Much better. $6,000. Great for selling early on. Good death item. Even later. Low level. Right now because my item's giving it to me, so just invulnerability and endurance. Forget about it. Okay, so this seems like a much better place to be. There are also some liches further down that I don't think I have any ability to take out, but so here's a ranged guy. We're just going to dodge his missiles. Well. It's hard to see. I like the ability to dodge projectiles a lot better than how other MMOs set this up. A lot of times you're pretty much glued to the target. Take WoW for example, if he casts a fireball that is just gonna stick right to him. There is no dodging in that way. at their range and pull out a melee weapon. You can make them pull out a melee weapon if you approach them, stay close, or whip around their back and start hitting them. Because as I mentioned before, there's different hitboxes. Same thing with armor. Whenever a creature hits you, it's kind of generating or calculating where it's going to land. That can be on your hands, legs, feet, etc. So individual pieces of armor are important. This dungeon was called, it's the Abandoned Mine, but it went by the name of the Subway, because at the bottom there's a giant pit. Yeah, I don't know about that. You can survive the fall, and 12 of the major towns. It was destroyed later on by the developers in favor of like a central hub of sorts that really looked out of place in the game. The fate of all of these MMOs is they keep changing until they are something else completely. I'm playing a 2002 era shard. Oh! We're going back. I think that area is pretty effective. Move us up to 7 pretty quickly. I think this dungeon is near Arwick. I can't remember. I'm going to pop out on the top real quick just to see. Yes, right next to Arwick. So this town also, I can't see it from here. It was destroyed in the story by the developers as well. It used to be a big trading hub. People hung out there. For whatever reason, they destroyed it. They also destroyed all the old town portal loops and things of that nature. They did what they did. Go back. What? Come on, I had like 20 or 30 health. Not giving up. So you can see I gained some experience just from fighting him. I was at around 600, now it's 681. It's because you're gaining experience as you're using these skills. Round 3. This. Okay, hopefully he's still got some damage. No, full health. Right, I'm gonna whip around this corner. Oh, that's right, I don't own it. Just I'm not sure if he keeps the vulnerability on him or not. In theory, he could still be vulnerable. But who knows? His health is resetting to the max, so what can I say? Fireballs much better these days. Careful with spells. Something more time than you wanted to be able to fit in again. Come on. So 500 experience, pretty good. It's almost 10% of what I need right now. I think I'm better off against the undead. Okay, as long as I can get a critical hit at least. So now I'm at 12% penalty. I've died 3 times in a row and only been able to reduce it by 3%. That's what you get for messing with things that are really too strong for you. Need more health. So for the most part, I tend to start with lower endurance. On my melee characters, I actually start with 10 endurance. It means you have 5 hit points to begin. I think it works out better in the long run, though. I don't know if that's true. Function doesn't work. Player. So that brought down 3 or 4% vitae. They give a lot more experience than I should be getting at this level. I don't think I can head further because there's a captain back there and he casts magic. And it's a group of 3 over there. Only one is flagged on me, so never mind. See if I could drag just. He's only level 14. Sometimes when you're harming them through the wall, they forget about you and de-aggro and start walking away. It's kind of strange. Nothing. And like I say, the higher your mana conversion is, the more effective that strategy becomes. I'm not dropping anything. So minor efficiency 10%. Compare that to the 25% efficiency of this lesser mana stone. Eventually you end up with greater mana stones and so on and so forth. So we're going to get these undead again. 73. Not that far off from casting level 2. I'll go fight the Lich, but I do not think it will end well. There are locked doors in this dungeon. I'm not sure if you need lockpicking or if there's supposed to be a key somewhere, but I'm not familiar with it. A locked door. There is a Lich down here. Let me make sure that I've cast my spells. Looks good. Inching up toward 50 health here. There, got him. Don't have enough distance. I take it back. Should have run a lot sooner. But totally doable. Just a moment. Totally doable. Wait, what? Glutton for punishment here. Going right back. So aggravating to insta-heal. Might work out better though. got some distance. Just out of my league, resists too much. When I do hit him, I do about 10% of his health. Too slow to dodge that. But like I said, I think that the ability to dodge projectiles in this game is really neat. Adds a lot of play there. I mean, archers and mages are one of the stronger characters in this title. The ability to dodge. Because you can dodge something doesn't mean you're going to be able to. And there are ways to mix it up, slide casting and things of that nature. Help you dodge while you're in the middle of casting. It's been worse than last time. Then again, I do have 5K. What's up, buddy? Did you ever get it working? Alright, let's go into melee. Last time. Stop again. Dead. I made it. I'm gonna kill. Oh, he's full health. What? Alright, I give up on the Lich for now. So I guess if you go too far, he's gonna regenerate his health as well. I'm not sure if that's a legacy situation or if it has to do with emulation. I really don't know. It's been too long to remember what things were on Turbine servers 20 years ago. At least small things like that. But between the Banderlings and the undead here, it's effective enough to level up pretty quickly. And the further I get, the faster it's going to be. So I'm mostly going to be leveling up focus and self as well as endurance right now for hit points. It's like a compounding effect. Important as a mage, especially later on. Even as a melee character with some magery, there's no characters that I will make in this game without some manner of magery. So even my axe character, for example, maybe not at the moment, but in the future, they will be casting vulnerability on their targets as well. Then using something like a fire axe or an acid axe or whatever. Way better against so much less. My gold, pyreals. Like I say, though, pyreal's pretty easy to get in this game. A lot of things have pretty high value. So my pants are out of mana. That's what gives me my armor buff. I could just start casting armor. Or I can get rid of some of these things and restore the mana to that item. Armored up again. I did so that, like I said, that was my first character. He was so terrible, and I had no idea how terrible he was. I got to level 30 or so and thought I was so amazing. Started a new character and realized how bad the choices I made were. And I'm sure making bad decisions right now too. Definitely not optimized, but just playing for fun. That's one of my favorite games of all time. There's nothing quite like it out there. And if there is, I'm not aware of it, and I would like to know about it. It's the only MMORPG I've ever really about. And it all comes down to the gameplay mechanics in each of those games. A group of 3 over there. I think we did alright last time. Jeez, why is it so dark in here? $3,000. More hit points here. Oh shoot. Oh well, I can use that too. I pull this scout out. See, they all want to come after me. If I can just get 1 or 2 of them would be good. I feel like I'm succeeding on casting vulnerabilities, things like that. And really, I should be letting them focus on self. Magic, creature magic. Another thing that Asheron's Call did really well was the monthly story updates. They had monthly content patches, and generally during these times it would have a story arc that would be progressing. And one of my favorite things about it. Unfortunately, that's not something that can be done in isolation, really. I'm sure within come on. Yeah, one more enemy. Health potion. Potions are excellent in this game. I think probably underused, at least by me. But nothing like a good stamina potion when you're sitting there in the middle of a battle. Where'd the other corpse go, or did I already check it? Whoa. That's good. Rejuvenation. Don't have to cast that anymore because now I've got it on a magic item. So I've got Rejuvenation, Armor, Piercing Protection as well as the enchantments offered by my wand, the starter one, mind you. So it's always good to check magical items, even if they may appear to be mundane. It could be something that could give you a good benefit to your character. Gonna hit my level, distribute the experience. Where I can control a lot better as I'm not as worried about getting one hit anymore. Level 7. Gloves. Oh, those are great. So mana conversion mastery 2. We'll be taking those. Oh, I can't use them. Why do these settings keep changing? Sidebar, please. Okay, so I need to have 40 arcane lore. We talked about this already, how it was a bit of an oversight to not start with this in trained skills, so that means I cannot raise it directly with experience. But it's focus divided by 3, so if I get 6 focus, I'd be able to use that. So that's what I'm going to do next. Already, what I was doing, raising focus and stuff. I think we could go to the accursed halls and do okay. Level 7. Do. Nice. Have you had a chance to play it yet? Zen Murdoch? So let's do that. Let's go to the accursed halls. So my arcane lore now is at 40. I must have had something on there. So there, mana conversion mastery 2. As well as impenetrability 2. Whereas these, well, I don't know, those are pretty good too, but I'm going to stick with it. So we are going to use this portal bot, right? Tell portal bot for Bashi. So he's going to log out to his other bot and cast us a portal to Bashi. I don't mind the portal bots as much as I mind the buff bots. There's just something wrong about jumping into the game and hitting level 30 instantly. And that, honestly, you end up being addicted to these bots. You need them all the time. You feel like you're not capable without them. So once you get a taste of that power, it's just hard to let go. I just prefer not to have it. So we're in Bashi now, way down here, in one of the, I guess you'd call them, they're Asiatic inspired. You can see by the building design. We are looking for the barkeeper. The barkeeper will sell us sake. Bower, scribe, healer. Might have missed him. Jewel, there we go, barkeeper. So this guy is going to sell us a cup of sake. We're going to take that to the drunken madman, and he is going to open us a portal to a dungeon. The dungeon in question is straight south of here up the mountain. Has higher level banderlings, at least the kind that I was just fighting, as well as some Tuskers further in. The Tuskers, pretty tough, very risky enemy, especially if you turn your back to them, and they have a habit of trying to wiggle around to your back to do direct damage. So if you end up fighting 3 or 4, it can be a bit of a problem. The best strategy is to back into a corner so that they have no access to your rear. So that spell, it's a bonus to endurance, gives me plus 10, so therefore plus 5 health, 10% increase right now, pretty good. Straight up this mountain. Defeating this, because sometimes they drop wings early on, that's good experience, similar to the little letters that you get, the red and gold letters. This one's worth 1,000 experience, I believe. So if we're killed again, we're going to turn it in just to get rid of the vitae. Continue up. So as I've mentioned, the game world is large. I'm not sure how long it would take you to run from north to south, but it would take quite some time. Also, depending on your running skill. We're going to try to beat this golem. Yeah. Oh. Alright. You kind of have to remember that I do not have much in the way of defense once they get to me. I really want to go turn in this letter real quick, since I'm here. There went my video. Not sure why. There we go. Thanks. Like I said, the setup is pretty rough, so problems are bound to happen. Yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve if you've never played this game before. Just a bit. But once you get used to it, personally, I think it controls really well. There's nothing quite like it. So you may have noticed I haven't used a life stone yet. There's no real reason that I haven't used it. But those blue stones, you tie your life force to them. And when you're defeated, that's where you respawn. Being that I haven't used a life stone yet, I'm just respawning at my character creation point in Holberg, which is way up here. So I think I'm going to use the life stone, at least that way if I'm defeated, I'll be back in town in a convenient location as opposed to way out here in the newbie area, which gives me a 1-minute walk back to anywhere relevant. Still going to Bashi. Can't think of any other spells I need at the moment. This pretty much covers my bases. You can kind of see that my item magic is going up. Oh, it's not going. I had it. I'm tempted to get it, but I wouldn't be able to use it for a while anyway. It would need to be at 90 before I could use Portal Recall, or so. Lets you get around a lot quicker. Say you die in a dungeon and you respawn, you can cast that Portal Recall spell to just go back to the last portal you entered, which would be the dungeon in that case. No walking, no pain, etc. And I could also get a robe and buff it with defenses, piercing, bludgeoning, and impenetrability, things like that. Bam, got the 1,000. That defeated almost all of my vitae penalty. I could pretty easily get here, especially near Hultberg. You could go to Glendenwood, then go into the apartment rooms, and then to Bashi. It's it's in the core loop basically. So this just saves a little bit of time. This time we're not going to mess with anything on the way. We see what happens. Just going to go straight to that dungeon. Especially not a level 18 golem. Probably not so wise. Asheron's Call was also somewhat famous for its PvP. In this game, you had to flag PvP or choose a PvP server. There was only one PvP server back in the day called Dark Tide. A lot of people remember it pretty fondly. I never got too high of a level on the PvP shard. I didn't play Asheron's Call quite as much as I played Ultima Online. But the PvP was fun. I did start a character there. I played some. And even at the newbie spawning grounds in this game, you'd often find people fighting. Just levels 1 through 10, something like that, in the newbie dungeons. It was always fun to jump in and pick a fight. I don't know that the population is high enough to support a PvP kind of environment in this game at this point. Buff your quickness and your running, lets you get around a lot faster. I don't have those spells. Not a big deal early on. Once I get some extra XP to throw around, I'll throw it into running. Straight south out of town, up the first visible hill. It's a gentle slope. Can't miss it. And over here in the background, you can see the silhouette of that tower. Or is that a tree? Maybe we're not close enough to see the tower yet. Yeah, it's a tree. The tower's down there in this little valley. There it is. Oh, what the fuck? What happened? So I have noticed a couple of physics bugs on this server. I may have mentioned it earlier, but there was at least one time I was jumping against a tree and it vaulted me what seemed like hundreds of feet in the air and instantly killed me. I'm wondering if this was a similar situation. I was going on kind of rocky path. There was an enemy. We saw the wasp, but notice the death note is you died. It wasn't wasp runs you through or electrocutes you or anything like that. So I'm thinking it was a bit of a physics bug there. And I've seen it more times than once. I jumped off of a small area that should have at most done 2 or 3 impact damage, and it killed me instantly on my other character who has about 70 health. So there are a few bugs here and there with the emulation, it seems like, but nothing game-breaking or really that bad. It's definitely the biggest offender I've found. It doesn't seem to be a confirmed and reported bug, but I also can't seem to replicate it. Keep the camera zoomed in a little closer on my character here and not mess around. I'd like to at least get to the destination. This tower up here is also helpful if you're trying to snipe enemies, pick them off from a distance. As with earlier in the rats, you can use your magic from above. There are some higher level creatures around here that you could take advantage of with that. Same thing here with these sides of these mountains. Creatures cannot run up. If you can't run up the mountain, the creature can't run up the mountain. So if you can find a steep slope, you can take advantage of that as well. But yeah, I'm not even sure what happened. I wasn't jumping, I wasn't doing anything like that. Specialized in mana conversion because it reduces the cost of your mana spell. Oh, broken fragment. So these guys, if you defeat them, similar to the golems, and if you get enough of the pieces they drop, fragment pieces, I think. I can't remember what they're called, shards maybe. Similar to the modes, you can make what is called Greater Shadow Armor. Those were introduced when the story arc of the Shadows came, and there was some really nice armor that you could get. They've changed it a lot later on in the game, but this shard has the old Greater Shadow Armor. Which is what I want in the end. We're going to try to go in between all these guys. Brimstone ring out of mana. For long. So one thing to note, oh shoot, I destroyed the mana stone. So there's a chance that the mana stone will break. And also if you restore mana to an item, it doesn't automatically re-engage the buff. You have to re-equip it and re-equip it. Here's the Drunken Madman. We're going to give him some sake. So this portal takes us to the wall, a place called Wall Portals. It's over here in the Obsidian Plains kind of area. I'm not sure if that's technically considered the Obsidian Plains, and this is not, but nonetheless, it's a pretty dangerous area if you're not capable. It's like right here, well, level 18, that's not too bad. So we've got two options. We can go back to the Ridge Tower, or we can go to the Accursed Halls. And really, this doesn't even take you to the Accursed Halls. This takes you to another walled portal section. Here you can do the same thing. You could get up on these pillars and abuse the enemy situation. It looks like someone's here doing that right now, in fact. A level 35 archer. Can't even jump up there. I don't have enough jump yet. So I don't think you can get back in here if you jump out, but you could always cast Portal Recall. So that takes you back to where we were. This takes you to the Accursed Halls, which is where we are headed. Be right back. Okay. Here we are at the accursed halls. Beginning, we should have some weak banderlings. Already got one of those. And further on there are the Tuskers, which are great experience, but very difficult. So here's Captain. Good. We need 12,000 experience to get to 8. Deal with these guys. If I can not get stuck in my casting boots. Be wary. Be careful of rushing too far into anything. You may end up with a bunch of guys chasing you. Proceed. Spent a lot of time here on my very first character years and years ago because of those Tuskers. Vanderland guards shouldn't be a problem. Two of scouts, so we're going to first. They've already got ability on this guy. Doing a lot better. A couple banners at once. Even levels. See if I can make my way to those Tuskers and do anything to them. Possibly not. Scout problem. Seen some people playing a permadeath character here, and that's, you know, self-enforced. They're the ones who have to delete the character if they're wanting to play that way. There is no built-in hardcore mode in this game. I'd have to say this is a pretty punishing game to make that choice in, especially early on. Right? That's a good question. If you're playing permadeath and something like that happens, I mean, not even getting hit, but just randomly dying in the field like that, what's your response? Do you just keep going, or do you delete that character? Does it really count? I guess a death is a death, right? So we're going to go a little further in here. Try to lure just the one. That bone. So maybe getting a little overconfident coming in here, but we'll see what happens. Definitely not having any luck with the loot generation. There's also chests and things that you can find in dungeons. Often they'll have pretty good loot. Radar. Captain would definitely do that. Junk. Keep pushing focus and self for now. Got another captain in here. You hear that stomping sound? That's the Tusker wherever he is. Another mana stone since mine broke. It's magic, we'll pick it up. So like that weapon, it casts Blood Drinker and Defender, so it gives you a benefit to melee defense as well as further attack modifications. Can't use it, we're not a swordsman. Well, we could use it, it just wouldn't be effective. Try to restore some mana before I move on here. Contact with that Tusker. Really good experience for 18 or 20. Tried. I'm gonna go after the Lich now back in the subway. I do not feel like walking all the way back to the accursed halls. And that's one problem with kind of going to these places that are a little over level for you. If I can, I'll work my way down to the subway hall just to show you what it's like. It will certainly kill me, but so even at 60 or 70 health, you still need to have at least bludgeoning protection 2 and things like that to survive the fall. Endurance, things like that, jumping. The higher your jumping skill, the less impact damage you're going to take as well. So there's a lot of things you can buff in order to survive these falls. Jumping is one of the coolest mechanics in this game. In certain dungeons, they almost require it. Or you get advantage from jumping around or circumventing parts of the dungeon. You can take if you can survive. But man, it can definitely be infuriating to be defeated in this game, especially while running somewhere. Which is one of the reasons I'm kind of keeping it to get an easy experience, let my character up, get a little bit more survivability. difference on that. It should. Spamming vulnerability. So Archer's doing mega damage in this game. That's another reason archery is so good. They do a lot. You can get different kinds of arrows. You can get flame arrows, acid arrows, bludgeoning arrows. Standard arrows are piercing, but by no means do you have to stick with that. Let's see how we do against this Lich now. Stealing. Back a little bit. He's not significantly stronger than the undead, but you can just resist a lot of that. Like so far, I've hit him none. It's all resisted. Doing worse than I did initially. All of it RNG, but looks like in the situation I'm in, he cannot hit me with his projectiles. They seem to be hitting me. His spells will come to impact me. Which, if he's going to cast level 1 and 2 spells, that should be okay. 75. So that was worth almost 1,000 experience. 7 of those would be my level. Pretty good. Undead leg. Huh. I didn't realize you could combine those pieces. I'm not sure what those do. I know that some undead bone pieces and things are used to make one of the bows later on. Maybe the leg bone or thigh bone. Remember. So right down here is the jump. It's guarded by these 2 liches. I may try to defeat them just to see what happens. Just to show you. Important. So here's the subway pit. A lot of people just run past all this stuff just to jump in the pit. You can see one of the portals on the radar. Yeah. So that's 70 or 80 health you have to survive that with buffs. Otherwise, maybe 100 health maybe. So it's something you can start doing around level 10, 11, something along those lines. Never did hit that lifestone. But it's a pretty short run. It's a perfect example why these quality of life changes are not good. You know, just being able to jump to the market, things like that. It just wasn't a good change for the game. Everyone has portal recalls now. You can do a Legends recall, Lifestone recall, all this kind of stuff. Marketplace recalls. Yeah, it makes you more mobile, and it just lessens the game, though, in some ways. Penetrability boots. Right now I'm wearing what? Regular slippers. We're going to put those on, get some armor on our feet. And just slowly build out your character. Get junk and slowly replace it with better and better junk. Definitely an equipment-based game. And you might have equipment that you only use for moments at a time. Like on my next character, I have bonus to item and then I can just buff up. But it's not all of the time. Same thing with rings and bracelets. You might have some that you use for certain battles. You might have one that really benefits you with some fire resistance and other things like that. And then you might have one that gives you armor and rejuvenation that you wear on the regular at other times. Didn't mean to get considering I don't have a full suit of armor, you know, hit rolls on or something like that, or take that critical. And that's probably where gotta remember I have those. Creature. So perfect example, when you're buffing up, you might use this orb instead of your wand. Gives you a benefit to creature. Notice that I don't have the focus and self buff though. If those were up another 10 points each from a level 1 spell, that would be another 5 points in creature. So I would be at 76. So now I'm going to stick with this item because it gives me mana conversion and focus and willpower. So I'd rather have a benefit to all of them than just one. Why it's so dark? So it's a really good sense of progression. You encounter a lot of things that you know nothing about, and that feeling is now later on. There are also a different, later on you can get spells that shoot multiple fireballs, waves, all this kind of thing. In the old game, you had to actually research these spells, and by research, they meant basically random components together to discover the spells. The problem is if you fail to cast a spell, that may not be because you have the components wrong, that could be because you don't have the skill. Question, creature, item, whatever. But back then, you had to discover spells, word of mouth, that kind of thing, and 1999, 2000, there was nothing like it is now. You couldn't just go everything you wanted. The quest structure is very similar. There's not a lot of hand-holding in this game. There's not a quest icon that shows you where you're supposed to be going at all times. You don't take the quest and then say, okay, here's A, B, C, D. Generally, there will be someone who might give you a vague idea of where you're supposed to go. A rumor, legendary item, an artifact, something like that. Alright, I think I've had enough punishment for now, and there's some things I need to do for work and things like that. So, we'll try to come back and play later.